And the first deputy prosecuting attorney and assistant corporation counsel there is 105, 560. Now, why should there be pay raises? Because, like a lot of people, always, it's a good question given the resources that we have. One of the things that is accomplished by giving a pay raise is that you want to attract the best to serve the people of this beautiful, wonderful island community. And we also want to have them stay as long as they can and not move on. Now, from the prosecutor's office, because I used to work there for about 6 years, we had some really good prosecutors that stayed for a long time. We had former Circuit Court Judge Paul De Silva, who has retired a while back. We had John Ono, and we had Jake Kimura. On the Corporation Council, we have Acting Circuit Court Judge Ronald E. Bauer, who worked not only as with the prosecutor's office, but also worked with the Corp Counsel's office. We had Richard Werdeman, who served his time doing Stephen Yamashiro's, when he was married for about 8 years. And now we have Lincoln Ashida, who's been there for 13 years. So the reason why we should have these pay raises for these particular positions to me is, is to recruit the best and to retain the best. And why do I come here today? I've taken vacation today, as like all of the other times that I came to talk before each one of you. And I come here today because I think I might be the only one still alive who actually had worked at the prosecuting office for 6 years. And there I have many friends, including the former prosecuting attorneys that I mentioned, and also I'm friends with Mitch Roth, and then I have people that actually work there that I know, and then I know how much time and effort that they work on a lot of the trials that they work on, and then I've been working with this office, the Corp Counsel's office, and I'm now this senior Deputy Corp Counsel, probably because now I'm 60 years old. And then I made lifetime friends there, and then I know the type of work that's done there, and one of the closest friends that I have now is Lincoln Ashida too. In closing, both offices are deserving of pay raises. I like proposal number 4 because it's closer to what Maui's is. I think in terms of comparables, the amount of time that we spent, the effort, the complexity of the cases that we work on, and the quality of work that we do equals that more of Maui than of Kauai. So again, I thank each one of you for looking at this issue.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Okay, hang on a minute. Do any of you have any questions you'd like to ask Mr. Kamehameha on his proposed ideas?
I think he's made it quite clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other statements from the public? So let's go on to our minutes of our last meeting. Or Sharon, when did you plan to do your presentation?
Good morning, I'm Sharon Toriano. I can do my presentation whenever you're ready.
Okay, why don't we get the approval of the minutes done first? And then if you'd like to follow through.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Have you all read over your minutes from the last meeting? Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as...
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All those that say nay? It's been moved and seconded and approved. Thank you. Okay, and then we'll have Sharon Toriano give us our presentation. I don't know quite what to call it, Sharon, except your presentation.
I would consider this to be a recap of the materials that were distributed in advance of this meeting today. I do recognize that even at our last meeting, there were a lot of exhibits and a wealth of information that, in all fairness to the members of the commission, it takes time to process. So in addition to having provided it in advance, we just wanted to take a moment to lay out and recap what that information represents. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that when we last met, there was discussion as to the date when we would complete our fiscal year 15 to 16 budget. After that, I consulted with the Department of Finance, and they will be wrapping up the first draft very shortly. And so any information or decisions that is made by this commission, they are urging us to report that information back as quickly as is possible in order to take effect, or at least they can plan for the impact in the next fiscal year. Okay, with that being said, could I just take one more moment? To my right, and you're probably very familiar with him. If you could introduce yourself, Nick.
Thanks, Sharon. Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Nicholas Herms, Deputy Director of HR.
Thank you.
And then the staff in the back here, Jenny. Jenny is instrumental in crunching all these numbers for us. Okay, so.
Sharon, excuse me?
Yes.
The two staff on the table?
They're shy, but Leslie, good morning. Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Proposal number 1. In the past, there was discussion with positions and which ones needed to be looked at. So in that proposal number 1 column, what we did is we tried to identify by highlighting the positions that were identified. That included the mayor, managing director, deputy managing director, director of Parks and Recreation, and the deputy of Parks and Recreation. What you are seeing in the column that is highlighted is a proposed salary effective 7/1/2014, and the column to the right of it is what is the dollar value of that increase. Okay, moving on, and still addressing those 5 particular positions. Proposal 2. There is a column for proposed salary, again on 7/1/2014, and what that increase would represent. There is a comments column in both of these proposals. I don't recall that there's a lot of discussion about these 5 positions in terms of what the dollar value of the salary should be. But we're extracting and coming up with that number based on, like, for instance, the mayor. In Proposal 1, it's a 5% increase. If you looked at Proposal 2, it's a salary which is equal to that of the chief of police and the chief of fire. For the deputy, or the managing director and the deputy managing director, the comment is it's just 5% lower than the mayor, or 5% lower than the managing director. For Parks and Recreation, Proposal 1, the salary that is noted there is equal to the Director of Housing, Planning, and HR. For the deputy, it's equal to that of the deputy of planning and HR. In proposal 2, in the comments column, the proposed salary is again equal to the director of housing, planning, and HR. And the deputy is equal to deputy of planning and HR. Any questions regarding these 5 positions and how these proposals were derived at?
Commissioners, any questions directed to Sharon?
Comment on how you
Michael, turn your phone on, please.
comment on how you came up with these specifics.
In that column, if you looked at proposal 1, and we'll just take mayors as an example. Proposed salary is $115,758, represents a 6606 increase. That is a 5% increase over his current. If you go further to the right, in the comments column, the proposed salary of $130,818, it's based on the salary that's currently being paid to the chief of police and fire.
Do we have a problem with the mayor, as we did the last time, that he was going to turn it over if we gave him a raise to somebody, to some charity of some sort?
It's difficult to speak for the mayor, and I haven't really discussed it with him. I understand that the budget is always a big concern for a mayor, but the truth of the matter and how I adjusted and looking at it, and did mention to him that we are looking at the position, not the incumbent.
You mentioned that to him, is that what you said?
Yes,
And the reaction?
I understand. I think that would be a fair question to pose to him directly, but we are here looking at a compensation plan for positions within
That's fair.
the county. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, my mouth was open because I didn't understand why, but I understand now, hearing you speak, why would you even be presenting this when he was not interested? But I understand now, based on what you're saying, it's the position, not the person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. De Lima?
You know, the fire chief and the chief of police both serve at the pleasure of the commission. So does the director of environmental management.
Right.
And the fire chief and police chief, we've adjusted their pay already, but I still cannot get my head around the differences between various cabinet positions. Like, for example, planning director versus the environmental management, or the housing administrator versus the director of environmental management. And then we got the director of liquor control and the director of information and technology and the parks and recreation making less than other cabinet positions. And we see the testimony of the handout by Parks and Recreation. They have one of the largest departments. So that really doesn't make any sense. And I've said that before, I think Parks and Recreation is the most demanding position in terms of dealing with the public. And the expectations are so high, given the fact that, many of our citizens work 2 jobs, and the little time that they have is usually spent in our parks, that I'm for trying to equalize more of this between cabinet positions, but so the question is there any rhyme or reason why Parks and Recreation is is on the lowest tier of compensation? Does it make sense from a programmatic and personnel?
Commissioner De Lima raises a very, very good point. We are transitioning from what used to be a tiered compensation plan to a plan that's pretty much been focused on each and every position and what is the concern with salary inversion. If I had to step back in time and addressing Tier 1 being the mayor and the highest level of the county leadership, Tier 2, and these are just general descriptions, being the larger of the departments, and then Tier 3 being the smaller departments. When the previous salary commission approached how they were going to create a tiered system, they went through a very arduous process of coming out with what are the criteria for each of the tiers. They interviewed the incumbents to help them or guide them to which tier they belong to. In particular, Parks and Recreation did respond in a lengthy memo to the Salary Commission at that time. However, it was determined that Parks and Rec would be in Tier 3. And I think, again, Commissioner De Lima raises a very good point. Over time, that position has taken on a great amount of responsibility. The complexities it faces today is different from what it faced in the past. The expectations that I think the public has of us has changed also with time. The handout that was provided by Clayton Homa speaks volumes as to the complexity of work that he faces today. Does he still belong in a tiered system in Tier 3? I have to say no. We no longer have a tier system. The longer range plan for how we address these salaries may rest with us in another forum, whether that be a permissive interactive group, whether that be a future meeting of the full commission. I leave that up to you folks to decide how you would like to approach that. But these are all excellent points, and I thank Commissioner De Lima for bringing them up.
Commissioners, do you have any discussion that you want to share?
I just would like to say this is a very broad perspective of Clayton's department. And as I read it, it's a very complex department. As times have changed, I think we need to change with this too. But looking at some of the things that he did put down, I did think that it was a duplication of other divisions. So it's the structure in a whole that's later on, because there are a lot of Department of Aging things in here. So I just don't understand why he is handling some of these things when it should be another division kind of a thing, structure. So that's my point over here. The whole division, who handles what, should be updated from my perspective as a banker. So some of the things that he's doing, job duties, should be restructured and reorganized. But going forward, this is a salary commission. I do agree that we need to update his pay scale. Thank you.
Any other comments?
To an across-the-board increase. Those that are highlighted in yellow are an exception to that 4% across-the-board increase. So if I was to go down to Parks and Recreation, the proposed salary of $102,960 represents an 8.4% increase. dollar difference being the 8676. The $102,000 salary is equal to that of the Director of Housing, Planning, and HR. There are other items or positions, that are highlighted that represent zero or are reflected as zero, primarily because these are the positions that received salary increases at the last salary commission meeting. It does not mean there should not be considered. It just means I wanted to identify for you not only those that we looked at last meeting, but the other component that the Salary Commission had requested was to provide information again on salary inversions. So if you took a look at Chief of Police, and you see on 1/1/2014, the amount of $127,992. It's highlighted in red primarily because it is at this point that a subordinate salary will exceed that of the Deputy Chief of Police.
Sharon?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it not so that for, say, the deputy chief, for example, is he not involved in a SHOPO required raise twice a year, like the first of the year and in July? Do they come under that? They had an automatic increase?
No, the positions that are listed on this spreadsheet are all the positions that fall under the purview of the Salary Commission.
Okay. thank
Yes.
you. Okay, thanks.
If we go to proposal number 4, and putting aside those that had been looked at the last meeting, but going again with a 4% across the board, all positions, this is what proposal number 4 represents, with the exceptions of those that are highlighted, which includes Mayor, Managing Director, Deputy Managing Director, Parks and Recreation, and the Deputy for Parks and Recreation. Questions on either of these proposals?
Commissioners, do you have any questions? Mr. De Lima?
I don't have a question.
All right.
Thank you.
What was the date that you requested that we get back to you with this information? In the beginning, I believe you said.
I believe for budget planning for next fiscal year, today would be perfect.
Today.
Thank you.
Are you dreaming again?
Nope.
So are you all happy with her discussion? You did a super good job there. Wonderful.
With your guidance as well, Madam Chair. You spent time with us to get that information out there so that we don't sit here and try to process everything in one day.
Thank you.
And again, I can't do it without the support of the
No,
staff.
that's great.
They did all the work.
Good. Any other questions you all have of Sharon? Should we just move on to, do you have anything more you want to offer us?
No, I think we covered what we
This would be
believe
the
the commission
appropriate
would
time
want.
if we do any raising today, would be the day.
It would be ideal for budget purposes, yes.
Okay, super.
Entertain a motion. We're on this.
So we should just stop it, yeah?
Well, she didn't be here to answer questions, but at this time to have further discussion, you could entertain a motion
To talk.
regarding, no, a motion. So we'll have a motion to accept any of these proposals.
Can I put this to a motion to any of you to accept any proposals at this time? No motion? So we can continue with our discussion with Sharon?
I'm not comfortable with any of these proposals, so,
That's not a problem.
For purposes of discussion, though, I'll move for the adoption of proposal number 1.
Do we have any discussion on going up to? Is there a second to his proposal? I think this is a lot to digest.
That's why we said.
And I think that we have to sit here and kind of look it over. And I don't think we're quite ready to complete with what we need to know at this point.
The purpose of the motion was to initiate some discussion, because I'm not comfortable with any of these proposals. So if we got to get a second, then we could have some discussion.
I didn't get the second yet.
All right, I'll give it a second so we can
Move
discuss
on.
this.
Okay,
May I speak to it?
please.
I'm not comfortable with voting on any of these proposals today, to be frank. I'm not for increasing the mayor's salary at all, given his public position. I think we can adopt the mayor's increase effective December of the year that his term expires. So whoever is running for office knows what the salary is going to be, and we increase it at that time. And then the person gets elected, they can take the same position, that they're not going to get any increase until the next election. So I think we can handle that politician that way. Even the prosecuting attorney, I think the same thing can be said for him. You know, he knew what the position was going to pay when he got elected, and we can make that effective too when any increase. I'm just thinking out loud now. I'm not proposing that we do the changes now. I'm just saying that that comes to mind. In terms of the Corporation Counsel, I've always thought the Corporation Counsel should be paid a little bit more and equal to the prosecuting attorney. They both run large law offices. So, you know, that's what I say about that. And then I think the fire chief and police chief, I'm okay with them having a higher pay than the other cabinet members, because they report to commission, and you know, I consider them the public safety tier in itself. They run large operations that are highly skilled, and you know, they have to undergo undoing training, and so I'm okay with them having a more significant salary. But for the rest, I'm into equalizing the salaries somehow, some way. You know, I tend to think that you know, there's something to be said about the very, very small departments. But on the other hand, your information technology guy might have a small staff, but you're not going to get somebody really smart if you pay them really small money.
Yeah.
So it's a yin and yang kind of thing. You know, Department of Education, we have an information technology guy. We're limited at how much we can pay them. We get the best people we can get for the money we pay. But if you're not going to pay much, you're not going to get the best and the brightest. That's the truth of it all. So, you know, if we're going to treat the information technology person that has a small department, but a so important job in the smallest tier, and I don't even know the guy that has the job now, but, and I'm not criticizing him at all, or her. I don't know if it's he or her. But all I know is that if you expect to be able to attract people in the future, you're going to need to pay them. And I think that's the case in almost every single one of our positions. And I'm not criticizing any of the other people who've taken jobs, the housing administrator and the liquor control and whoever else is in that small tier. The county clerk, legislative auditor. But, you know, I know the Corporation Counsel. Not many good lawyers are going to leave private practice to go and work for the amount of money they're making. It's just ridiculous. first-year associates in the silk stocking law firms make more than the head corporation counsel. That's crazy. So, so we gotta do something about it. And there's always a yin and yang to everything. On the other hand, a lot of people have made a career in government. Is that good? Yes. A lot of people think that's good because you keep experienced attorneys doing the routine thing for many, many years. On the other hand, maybe that's kind of bad too, because they become comfortable and maybe complacent. Mm-hmm. But if you have good leadership, that doesn't really come into play because they challenge the staff and they mentor the younger attorneys and so on and so forth. So it really depends upon your leadership, and I think we got to pay our leadership a little bit more money than we're paying them now. So that's my suggestion. I don't want to adopt proposal number 1. I think after we all had a chance to talk, my suggestion is that we table it for a future meeting and digest what we've proposed. And anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeLima. Well said, well prepared. You certainly made a simple thing quite easy to understand. Yes, Mr. Sheehan.
Madam Chair, I agree with Commissioner DeLima. The last time we put these raises into effect, we had some studying that we did.
Yep.
We spent quite a bit of time and analyzed it in depth. I don't say that, I hear what the Human Resources Director is saying about the time element, but at the same time, I don't think we should move on this thing until we've had a chance to study it, and we can do that rather quickly. We don't have to wait 30, 60, 90 days to do that.
Right.
But I don't think we're prepared today to make any decision.
Thank you. Yes, Carolyn.
On the, I'm looking here at the prosecuting attorney and the corporate counsel. You came up with these 2 different figures because, simple, because you have him at 113, the prosecuting attorney at 113, and the corporate counsel at 110. I think we talked a lot about that at one point. We were making them equal, just as the prosecuting attorney and the fire chief. And I'm interested.
I believe that discussion has gone back and forth several times about the quality of the prosecutor and the corporation counsel. As of November, the decision being what you see reflected there, that they were not equal, and therefore this is the salary that was awarded by this commission.
I have nothing else to say about that at the moment.
Thank you. So perhaps we can formulate what we did before, a committee to read over this and establish some foundation of what we're doing. And do I have any volunteers that perhaps might like to do that? Mr. DeLima, thank you for volunteering. Michael, thank you for volunteering. And Marcella, thank you for volunteering. But just temporary, you don't have to accept. I just thought you might be involved in it.
Yeah, sure. I'll find time.
Yes, I'll find time.
Thank you. All right, so we have established a new committee, and it doesn't have to be done tomorrow or by Friday, but we can, at our, you guys can get together and discuss it. Because you have, Brian, it's wonderful, you have that foresight, and these guys have been on it, and they know how to get it together, so it wouldn't take that long. Yeah, thank you. Okay. So we have our new committee members. Thank you.
Does that mean we took care of agenda item 6B?
Yes, we did. Thank you so much.
So to clarify, the scope of this committee is to investigate in more depth these proposals or other possible proposals and then report back to the full commission
Yeah.
with their recommendations?
Yes,
Usually you gotta give a time period.
Well,
Prior to our next meeting.
our next meeting, we haven't got to that yet, but probably our next meeting could be, I can't do it next month, but maybe in April. Is that a bad time for the three of you to be able to propose this by April?
April's fine.
We'll just go with Brian's schedule.
Okay. Sharon, is there a timeline for this budget? Was today the timeline and then we go into the next fiscal year? When is it good?
That was expressed as a preference as we plan for the fiscal year.
Okay, all right.
To acknowledge that although I've expressed that, this commission has the ability to take action at any time.
Thank you. Okay. right.
I believe the final budget is May.
Oh, splendid. Okay.
Yeah.
Is May?
Is May,
Final
but they'll need to plug in any numbers probably in April.
Do you have a preference, you three, in April? I give you the preference.
23rd work?
It's a bad week. It's Mary Monarch week.
Oh, it's a better week.
Yeah, it's a bad week. So it before or after? Mary Monarch week is from the 20th to the 26th. But if you could do this beforehand or the 27th to the 30th perhaps?
To the 30th work for you?
Yeah.
Works for Mr. DeLima. and
Okay.
Works for me.
What day is that?
April 30th, you think?
Wednesday the 30th, would that be okay for
Wednesday the
April?
30th?
April, Wednesday the 30th?
If this room is available.
Yeah, please.
Wednesday the 3rd.
And Brian, the subcommittee meeting?
We're gonna do that. Michael, when do you come into town?
I'll make do with what the two of you will do.
So we can have it, our next salary commission here, okay?
Madam Chair, for clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this regarded as a permissive interactive group then, where we,
Yes.
Yes, it would be.
so whatever information is shared on the 30th could not be discussed at that meeting?
That's correct. That
Yeah.
you couldn't discuss or take action on the recommendations of the permitted interaction group until the following meeting.
Till the following meeting.
Very good. I just wanted that
Yeah, right.
clarified.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if we, and Sharon, if we met
Okay.
at the end of
Let me ask them.
April, and of course we couldn't discuss anything, then May would fall right into line with what the finance director's budget problems are.
Why don't we meet early April, and then April 30th would be the final,
The final.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, that will work out.
Can we do that, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
maybe we,
However, can I back you up to not meeting on April the 30th because this room is taken?
oh,
But April the 28th, it's not, it's available, we could use it then,
April 28th?
which is Monday. Is Monday's bad for you?
this is kind of way ahead of time, so maybe go 28th. Yeah, I can do April 28th.
All right,
Okay, thank you. You sure, Michael?
yeah.
Okay. And then you three will meet prior to that at your
So
selected
the
date.
regular meeting's going to be April the 28th.
Correct, on
And
Monday.
We'll meet prior to that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Well, the discussion was to have a meeting of the full commission earlier in April, so that the meeting of the 28th is when you can actually discuss and make decisions.
What about April 9th?
That's for the three of you to meet at.
No.
No, that's for a regular meeting.
A regular meeting?
To present the recommendation.
Right.
Okay.